Emaan never believed in surprises. She liked her life predictable, neat, and calm. Every morning she left for work with the same small smile on her face, carrying her diary, her headphones, and the quiet confidence that nothing unexpected would happen today either. She was the kind of girl who fixed everyone's problems but hid her own. She was responsible, mature, and careful about people. Maybe a little too careful. But all it takes is one moment to turn a carefully arranged life into a story. It was early evening, and the wind was stronger than usual. Dust lifted from the road, blurring the lights of the city. Cars honked in the chaos, and the weather felt restless, as if something unusual was about to happen. Emaan tightened her dupatta around her shoulders and tried to walk faster. She just wanted to reach home before the storm broke. And then she heard the screech of a motorcycle. Before she could turn fully, a man on a bike lost control at the sharp bend ahead. The tires slipped, the bike skidded, and the rider fell hard onto the rough road. People slowed down to look but no one stopped. Emaan didn't think twice. Her steps ran toward him before her mind caught up. The man lay on the ground, his arms scraped and bleeding. His hair fell across his forehead, and his breathing was heavy but steady. When Emaan leaned down, his eyes slowly opened, deep, warm, and unexpectedly calm for someone who had just crashed. "Are you okay?" she asked, her voice trembling. The man gave a faint smile. "I don't know, but you coming here feels like a good sign." Emaan felt a small flutter in her chest, something unfamiliar, something strange. His name was Adeel. She helped him sit up. His jacket was dusty, one of his shoes half broken, and yet, he looked at her with a softness she couldn't ignore. Somehow she managed to find a rickshaw and took him to the nearest clinic. While the nurse cleaned his wound, Emaan sat outside, feeling strangely restless. She kept checking the door as if waiting for someone she shouldn't be waiting for. When Adeel finally came out, bandaged but smiling, he looked directly at her. "Thank you," he said. "You didn't have to do all that." Emaan lowered her gaze. "Anyone would have helped." "No," he said quietly. "Not everyone stops. Not everyone cares." Those words stayed with her longer than she expected. He hesitated, then added, If it doesn't bother you, could you come tomorrow? I might need someone to remind me that kindness still exists." She didn't know why she agreed. Maybe she didn't want to disappoint him. Maybe something inside her wanted to see him again. The next day turned into the next, and soon, visiting Adeel became a part of her routine. He had a way of talking that made her smile without realizing. He asked simple things, about her job, her favorite foods, the music she listened to. And he shared stories that made her laugh, mostly about his messy life, his failed attempts at cooking, his goofy childhood fights with his brother. Adeel was everything she was not, carefree, bold, and a little reckless. But he was also honest, deeply thoughtful in unexpected ways, and surprisingly gentle. Slowly, unknowingly, something warm began to grow between them. When Adeel got better, he started meeting her outside instead of the clinic. They'd walk in the park, talk over chai at a small stall, or simply sit on the roadside bench watching the world pass by. Sometimes their conversations were loud and playful, sometimes they were soft, almost whispering. Once, while watching kids play in the street, Adeel said, "You know, you make the world feel lighter." Emaan felt her cheeks warm. "I just listen." "No," he replied, looking at her in a way that made her heart skip. "You make people feel seen. You made me feel seen." She didn't know how to respond, except with silence and the tiny smile she couldn't hide. But love, true love, never comes without fear. One evening, Adeel's face was more serious than usual. He kept twisting his fingers, avoiding her eyes. Emaan sensed the heaviness before he spoke. "I need to tell you something," he said. "My life, it hasn't been simple." He told her about his troubled past. The mistakes he made, jobs he couldn't keep, people he disappointed, the relationships that broke because he wasn't ready, the regrets he had buried so deep that mentioning them felt like reopening old wounds. Emaan listened quietly, feeling his pain through every word. "I'm not perfect," Adeel finished, voice low. "I'm not even sure I'm good enough for someone like you." Her heart tightened. She wanted to tell him he was wrong, but he stood up suddenly. "Maybe you should stay away from me," he said, eyes clouded. "I don't want to pull you into my mess." The words hit her like a slap. "So you think I'm weak?" she asked softly. He froze. "You think I can care for people only when it's easy?" She continued. "You think I only want the perfect parts of you?" Adeel swallowed hard. I don't want to hurt you. Emaan stepped closer. Then don't push me away. He finally looked up, and in his eyes, she saw fear, love, and a silent plea for help. I'm not scared of your past, she said. I'm scared of losing you. Those words broke through him completely. He took a shaky breath, then whispered, I've never had anyone fight for me like that. Emaan touched his hand, gently, reassuringly. Then learn to stay, learn to trust. That night became a turning point. Their bond deepened into something strong, something real. They began meeting more often. Longer walks, longer talks, longer silences that felt like shared heartbeats. Adeel started changing. He got a stable job, became more disciplined, and slowly rebuilt his life. Every step he took with Emaan in mind. One rainy evening, as drops tapped softly on the rooftop of a small cafe, Adeel watched her from across the table. Her hair was slightly wet, her cheeks pink from the cold, and yet she looked so peaceful. The dim lights reflected in her eyes, and he wondered how someone could look both strong and delicate at the same time. You know, he said quietly, I never believed I could belong to someone. She smiled. And now I want to belong only to you. Her heart fluttered. Adeel. He stood up, walked to her side, and gently held her face in his hands. You changed me, he said. Not because you tried, but because you believed in me. I didn't think I deserved love. But you gave it anyway. Emaan placed her hands over his. We changed each other. Thunder rumbled softly outside, but the moment felt warm, safe, complete. Adeel leaned closer, his forehead touching hers. The world around them disappeared, only their breaths, their warmth, and the quiet promise between them remained. I want a life with you, he whispered. A life where I wake up knowing you're mine. Tears filled her eyes, not from sadness, but from the overwhelming beauty of the moment. You already have me, she whispered back. Outside, the rain slowed. Inside, two souls finally found home. Their journey wasn't perfect. It had fear, mistakes, and tears. But it also had trust, healing, and a love that grew stronger the more they opened their hearts. And sometimes, the best love stories are not the ones that start with fireworks, but the ones that start with a simple act of kindness on a dusty road. Emaan and Adeel's story began with a fall, but it became a rise into something unforgettable, something healing, something eternal.